Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. I got a lot of requests to do a Ben Affleck Batman video because of some reports that were flying around this week. So we'll break it all down, what's going on with Ben Affleck doing new Batman stuff for the Justice League Snyder Cut. There were reports that were claiming that he's going to be doing more than that. I'll explain what I think is going on with that, what's real, what I think is not real. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There's going to be a lot of Batman stuff happening the next couple of years. Between all of Zack Snyder's Justice League stuff next year, Robert Pattinson's Batman movie franchise, and all the stuff that's going on with Michael Keaton Batman coming back for the Flashpoint movie and other future DC movies.
If I leave you with anything, I'm going to leave you with these two words. And those two words are, I'm Batman.
No joke, it's a really good time to be a Batman fan right now. So just starting with number 5. This past week, there were some competing reports of Ben Affleck coming back to do more Batman and signing a new contract. All of them are based on earlier reports from last month when Zack Snyder announced the Justice League Snyder Cut. Deadline, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, The Wrap, all the big Hollywood trades, very reputable news sources explained what the situation was with the Justice League actors coming back, including Ben Affleck, so I'll explain that in a second. But then more recently, all these new reports from the past week are trying to claim that Ben Affleck is now coming back in a much bigger way than originally reported. So I'll explain what I think is really going on between the very trusted news sources and the stuff that we know and the more fringe stuff that you've probably been seeing all over your timeline the last couple of days. It also doesn't help that Twitter changed the way that they do their hashtags, so when stuff is trending on Twitter, sometimes it's just trending because a lot of people are talking about it, not because it's an actual thing. It's all a little crazy right now because May and June were like the 2 months that DC Movies decided to post every last bit of huge news about the upcoming movies that they've been sitting on all year. Like Michael Keaton coming back, everything with Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson's Batman 2021 movie, the Snyder Cut, all the other upcoming DCEU movies. Just because of everything that's been happening with the virus, everyone is starved for good news. So there is a lot of good news with all this Batman stuff that's going on. I think that some of it has just gotten a little out of hand. So number 4, this is what we know is going on with the Justice League actors participating in the Snyder Cut so far. And this all comes from the announcements back in May. Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ezra Miller, and Ray Fisher are all coming back to help Zack Snyder finish the footage he needs in order to make the Snyder Cut a real movie. What that means, quote-unquote, coming back, is that mostly the actors would just be re-recording old dialogue and doing new voiceover work for scenes that they've already filmed with Zack Snyder a couple years ago. Zack Snyder's latest comments during the Superman Man of Steel movie livestream where they made this whole announcement were that people had only seen about 10% of the footage that he had filmed. He also said 25% a while ago too, but if 10% was the most recent comment, I would just take him at his word. The full Justice League Snyder Cut's supposed to be around 4 hours long, so do the math on that. You have a little over 3.5 hours of brand new footage that no one has ever seen before, save for the behind the scenes clips like this.
I just want to say a quick thanks to my cast and crew. It's been a great shoot, and thank you, UK. It's been amazing.
When you see Zack Snyder posting pictures like this is the Snyder Cut as it exists right now, that's mostly what the footage looks like. So number 3, what's not happening, according to the Hollywood trades, the big sites, is that they're not going to be bringing back all 6 Justice League actors to film scenes all together at the same time. They all have a bunch of other movies and TV shows that they've booked and they're working on when the virus restrictions lift. Even if all the actors wanted to come back for free and not get paid for any of the additional work that they're going to do, they'd never be able to schedule them all together in a room at the same time. Actors book their schedules so far in advance that it's a nightmare to even get a couple of them in a room together. And on top of that, even though the amount of money HBO is throwing at Zack Snyder to finish the Snyder Cut is kind of in question, the trades reported around $30 to $40 million. After that, some people claimed that they were giving him way more money. Even if he is getting way more money than that, the vast majority of that budget is actually going to special effects. Like I said, most of the footage that he has, the 4 hours worth of footage that he's going to be putting into the Snyder Cut, looks like this with a bunch of green screen. That doesn't mean that they aren't going to film any new scenes, it just means that if they do film totally new scenes, they won't be massive undertakings like this stuff here. Think more like new scenes of one actor by themselves or two of them together talking about something, small scenes just intended to help stitch together the story that they already have. The reason why the special effects are so much of the budget that they're giving him is just because you can see from all this behind the scenes stuff here, the footage is either green screen, blue screen, or just blank backgrounds. They have to add a ton of stuff in post-production. So for most of the rest of this year and early next year before they release it, that's what they're going to be working on, just all the post-production. Number 2, as for the new reports that Ben Affleck is coming back for multiple new Batman appearances in other DC movies, I do not think that that is true, mostly because they're already bringing back Michael Keaton to do the exact same thing, be their Multiverse Batman showing up in a bunch of different movies. They've got Robert Pattinson in the new Batman trilogy to be their main version of Batman. The whole thing with Ben Affleck leaving a couple years ago was that he said that he was done and giving someone else a chance. He was talking about Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves, who were taking over his version of the Batman movie.
Now I've read and I've seen announcements to the effect of that you will not be Batman again.
I am, yeah. I have decided. No, thank you very much. You know, I tried to direct a version of it and worked with a really good screenwriter, but just kind of couldn't come up with a version that couldn't crack it. And so I thought it was like, you know, time to let someone else take a shot at it. They got some really good people, so.
So I think some people are just taking the Justice League Snyder Cut participation out of context. Yes, he had to sign a new contract to come back and help finish the Justice League stuff. No, he is probably not going to be doing a bunch of HBO Max Batman projects. And whether you believe it or not, the newer report about Warner Brothers' larger Batman multiverse plans are that if Michael Keaton decides to back out of the Flashpoint movie at the last minute because of some scheduling issues, the studio is supposedly, get this, going to go to Christian Bale next to try and get him to come back as the older mentor Batman from the multiverse. I'm not going to hold my breath on that because right now it sounds like he's been locked down for Thor 4 Love and Thunder, so it sounds like he's going to be pretty busy with that in his other movie projects. And if you didn't know, Christian Bale is going to be in Thor 4 as one of the villains, if not the main villain. Tessa Thompson actually just confirmed that a little while ago during an interview.
We're going to have fun. We're going to have fun. You know, Taika's writing, directing, some familiar faces, some new people into the mix. Christian Bale is going to play our villain, which is going to be fantastic. Yeah, it's going to be good.
The big thing here, number 1, if Ben Affleck ever did come back for something after the Justice League Snyder Cut, my assumption, just based on what he said himself the last few years, is that it would mostly be a very, very minor, hands-off, no Batman costume kind of cameo appearance. Or maybe some minor voiceover work somewhere else in the DC universe, like a non-serious animated voiceover cameo, not him coming back in a real big way post-Justice League in a Batman costume. When the studio passed on his version of the Batman movie with Deathstroke, a lot of people were just hoping that because of what's going on with the Snyder Cut and David Ayer trying to build hype for a Suicide Squad Ayer cut, that they would do some version of his Batman movie as an HBO Max project. I don't think that that's ever going to happen. I think that they have so much Batman stuff going on between Michael Keaton and Robert Pattinson in the Justice League Snyder Cut stuff. I think that's about the limit of what the studio is willing to do in terms of spreading their IP around for the Batman. I do think it's possible we could see Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke come back in a future DC movie if he doesn't sign a new contract for the new Spider-Man movies with Sony, because he said that he really loves the Deathstroke character, but he would also really love to play Kraven the Hunter in the Spider-Man movies, and he was already in a Spider-Man movie back in the day as Flash Thompson. Talk about deep cuts.
It's all yours, man.
So hopefully that clarifies the situation with Ben Affleck Batman right now. There's a lot of crazy news flying around. Some of it is probably a little bit true, but probably not with the Ben Affleck Batman stuff. I'll try to do more Batman videos and more DC movie videos as we get more official details about what's going on with all the different movies, and I will do as many videos as I can for the DC Fandome Comic-Con panels this summer. There'll be some trailers and footage for the movies. And DC did reveal a couple secret movies that it's bringing to that they haven't previously announced, so I might do another video about those movies this weekend. Everyone, click here to rewatch that Justice League Snyder Cut trailer a billion more times, and click here for that brand new Boys Season 2 trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe. I'll see you guys tonight.